Thank you all for joining the memorial service for my father, James Angelo Molini. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for their contributions to this service, from family to friends, to colleagues and local community members in New York, Florida, and Texas. What will be shared in the next few minutes would not have been possible without everyone here coming together to share their personal photos, stories, and memories of my dad. And a special thank you to our friends Chris and Rita Ochoa, who have worked so hard to produce and edit this tribute compilation that will live on forever and for everyone to see. They've been so generous with their time and energy. None of this would have been possible without them. This is an unconventional memorial service for an unconventional man. My dad did not care much for formalities. I like to think that he would have appreciated the fact that you could freely choose to wear your pajamas during this service. He loved to laugh. He never took things too seriously and wanted the people around him to feel good. He truly cared about people. I think many that knew him would agree that my dad was a man of favors. He would do all the small things for people, whether it was offering a ride, a meal, a reference, a trip to the doctor, personal or financial advice. And if you ever needed someone to call customer service on your behalf purely on a matter of principle, James was your guy. And he was a local guy through and through, actively involved with so many neighbors in the community. When I was a kid, I felt like we could never walk a hallway or even half a block without stopping for 5 to 10 or to 15 minutes just so that my dad could have conversations with people. He was always accessible and generous. And as a father, he was truly outstanding. Both my parents worked hard their whole lives. My mom a nurse, my dad a salesman. But no matter how hard or long he worked, my dad was always there to spend time with me. He was affectionate and loving, patient and persistent in all aspects of my life. I'd like to share a few memories of our relationship. When he'd come home from work, I'd run to the door to hug him. We would spend the weekends together when my mom was at work. I would wake him up early, purely out of excitement, just to spend the time together. We both loved the beach, whether it was Brighton Beach in Brooklyn with my grandparents, or just the two of us at Orchard Beach in the Bronx. I was the only little white boy at Orchard Beach, dancing with the Dominicans and Puerto Ricans by the handball courts. He'd take me to record stores in Yonkers and St. Mark's Place. He introduced me to Motown, doo-wop, soul, and so many other genres of music. Saturday mornings when my mom was at work, he would put on music and we would dance in the living room together. He helped me apply for my first job, took me to practice, was present for all my accomplishments, disappointments, failures, and everything else in between. My dad was, and still is, everything to me. There's never enough time. I will always want more, but I couldn't be more grateful. Thank you.
Now I know Spanish Harlem are not just pretty words.
James became my little doll as soon as he was born.
I thought I knew,
We were like two peas in a pod.
but now I know that rose trees never grow in New York City.
As we grew older, Jamesy, as my friends and I called him, was always with us, and we became his protectors.
Stand at the edge while people run you through.
Till this day, my friends will call and always ask, how's Jamesy doing?
I thank the Lord there's people out there like you. While Mona Lisa.
We grew up in what were called the barracks in Gerritsen Beach, which was awesome. Everyone would visit and refer to it as the country. We later moved to the projects on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and we both attended Our Lady of Sorrow School. It was great. We grew friendships there from so many different ethnic backgrounds. He then went on to Powell Memorial High School and then attended Pace University, where he studied accounting and business. He was always family-oriented, and anyone that knew him knows he had a great sense of humor.
When tears are in your eyes and you can't find the way, it's hard to make.
As we know, he moved on, married Ellen. They were married for 38 years, which is amazing in this crazy day and age.
Gold appeared before me, the band of gold I always dreamed I'd wear. When we kissed, I felt the sweet.
Then David was born.
Well, he walked up to me and he asked me if I wanted to die. He looked kinda nice and
Needless to say, Ellen and James were over the moon.
when he danced, he held me tight. And when he walked me,
Looking back at Jamesy's baby photos, the resemblance with David is incredible.
each time I saw him, I couldn't wait to see him again.
Anytime he spoke of David, it was with so much pride and love. David has grown into an outstanding man with qualities from both his mom and dad. He's now married to Alyssa, who is a beautiful person.
I want to take a few minutes to celebrate Jim and just remembering a few things about him that I've always appreciated and will always cherish. More than anything, I love that Jim always seemed to find a way to enjoy the simple things in life. You know, he really grasped all the ways that life provides us to create happiness, and he didn't underestimate the power that the small things in life have to maximize joy. And I thought that was really special. So some of the things he did were that he laughed often. I can't help but to imagine him with a big smile on his face, laughing, joking, saying or doing something silly that made me laugh. One of my all-time favorite things was when I introduced him to Snapchat filters. He just got such a kick out of using Snapchat filters, and it never got old watching him just thoroughly enjoy himself and play around with them like a kid. And sometimes he made us laugh so hard playing with the filters that it would actually bring us all to tears watching him. There was this one game where one player would wear a Velcro hat and the other player would throw these little duties at the other, and you'd have to like catch it on your head. And Jim just loved that, and he was always, willing to have a good time, wanting to have a good time, wanting to celebrate at every single opportunity that he got. And he never really took himself too seriously. We gave him these totes that we get from our Fresh Direct grocery delivery service, and we didn't think anything of it. Well, Jim ended up loving those bags so much that I can't tell you how many times he thanked me over email, over text, on the phone. Practicing gratitude for the things that a lot of us might take for granted or might miss altogether was one of Jim's best qualities. He also was always so eager to give or to help in any way that he could, from big things like offering to help us when we were buying our first home, to taking my wedding dress to the cleaners. If, we had a leaky faucet, he would send us plumbers in our area. If I offhandedly just remarked about how cold it was for me in New York in the winter, the next time I saw him, he would give me, hot hands and fuzzy socks. He took an interest in my family. He would always ask about my cousin, my uncle, my parents, my best friend. He just genuinely cared and, followed up and remained interested and wanted to know what everyone was up to. And lastly, I love how he always made me feel so welcome and a part of the family. He was an excellent father. He was an amazing father-in-law, and I feel so fortunate to have been able to spend so much time with him.
It's Daddy Mo wishing you a big happy birthday. Oh, I'm so sorry it's cold for you today. But anyway, have a happy birthday. Alyssa, can't wait to see you on Monday, all right? We're going to get you a little hat to wear for your birthday. Anyway, have a nice day for your birthday and have a good weekend too if I don't talk to you, all right? Love you. And we're so happy to have you as our daughter-in-law. Okay, bye-bye.
I met Jim when I was around 17 years old and he was dating my sister Ellen. They both worked at Grand Metropolitan Hotels on West 57th.
Too much for the man.
And I remember he came out of his office to say hi to me. I thought he was very dashing. He was also charming, funny, friendly, and generous. Jim talked to everyone within talking distance while juggling a cigarette and a cup of coffee. He never seemed to mind that his girlfriend had a sister who constantly tagged along. He very easily became part of our family.
The world he left behind not so long ago. He's leaving
Jim was very kind to my mother, and she quickly dubbed him Mr. Wonderful, and she was absolutely right. Jim loved his family, sunny beaches, and Broadway musicals, and we loved him. I wanted to play him off with a song because he would have enjoyed it, but I can't sing, so here's a quote from a musical. "We've been together a long time, we never thought it would end. We were always so close to each other. You were always my friend, and it's hard to say goodbye."
I have to say I had a most wonderful son. They say there is no such thing as perfect, but I think he was, because he was always there for me. He always did well in school. He was always very good with his younger cousins. And he was a very, very giving person. He gave with his heart. I can't tell you how much more many good deeds he has done for everyone in the family. Everyone loved him. He was always well loved and respected.
I remember James' mother-in-law, the first time I met her, said to me, "Mrs. Molini, I really love your son. I call him Mr. Wonderful." I believe he was.
I pray that he's in a better place together with his dad, the grandparents, and the rest of the family, because everyone loved him. He most certainly will be missed.
Uncle James was just the best. Every time we were at a party, you'd always gravitate towards him. My grandmother, I think it was Aunt Ellen's mom, used to call him Mr. Wonderful. And he really was Mr. Wonderful.
Uncle James was the most welcoming person, always so happy, always a smile, always beautiful conversation, and such a jolly laugh. And he was always so welcoming.
Always want to play with the kids, great outlook on life.
All the memories we have of him, from coming to see the kids when they were born in the hospital, to Christmas Eves, playing games with the boys and just acting silly and so much fun.
Always had the best conversations. Obviously, everybody thought he was so funny. He was hysterical.
Jim's outlook was always positive. Glass, overflowingly full. And just a person that you like instantaneously. And warm heart, and loved his family, and just enjoyed life and the connections that he could make. One of the greatest things I remember about Jim was you could instantly, immediately connect, as if you lived down the block and you hadn't left or hadn't been around every day.
We have lived next to Jim and Ellen in New York, next door neighbors for many years. Jim has been an institution in this building, and he's been a fantastic neighbor for us. It's been wonderful to know that he's next door all the time. Seeing him in the hallways every day, always cheerful, always ready with a joke and a kind of a glimmer in his eye.
Jim and I were friends for over 30 years. We met in the Wilton, Connecticut sales office at Reuben H. Donnelly, and I remember how Jim used to joke about the Green Monster, the old green car he used to drive up from Riverdale, wondering whether or not he was going to make it to the office. Some of the things I'll remember most about Jim was his ability to put a smile on my face, with his sense of humor and sharp tongue. I love how he used to say, "Those bastards," and a few other terms of endearment I can't repeat on this recording.
This is Short Pants, aka Marianne Weber, and fondest memories. The beginning of you calling me Short Pants. I think it might have been because I'm barely 5 feet tall, or could it have been the day that I wore capri pants, which you saw as short pants?
I remember going to meet him and Ellen for the first time and feeling just nervous. You know, you're meeting, your daughter's family to be, and from the get-go, Jim and Ellen just made me feel so welcome and so comfortable. I think my newest and fondest memory was in Christmas 2019 when I went to their home. Ellen invited us all, and of course, they laid out a spread, and it was just outstanding. I remember when we had finished eating, they put the desserts on the table. And of course, my daughter-in-law, Ellen, they got it from the table, but they put a cake in front of Jim and I. I mean, Jim was sitting there, and the reason that I remembered is because there's a picture with the cake in front of Jim. I was like, man, it was mouth-watering. So under my breath, I said, I'm going to clear the table. I want this cake. And Jim heard me, and he didn't rip me off, thank you. But he just said, then don't. And he sat there, and we talked to where it made it easier to stay there and not get up and clear the table because we wanted the dessert. At that time, I was going through a Cheeto and Dr. Pepper phase, so he made it a point that when I would come to visit, he had Cheetos and Dr. Pepper. He just had a way of making you feel welcome.
Thanksgivings and holidays won't be the same without you. I'll always remember how much fun we had beating the girls at table games during Thanksgiving, talking about the various cars you kept around, hearing your story about going to school with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, getting rides from you to LaGuardia Airport from the Bronx, where you stopped to make sure I had my first turkey bagel, and now I love turkey bagels. Emmy will also miss the treats and gifts that you used to get her, how you would be sure to bring something for her during the holidays. We really appreciated that about you. Most of all, just how positive you were is something I'll never forget.
He always said, I love you big time, and we're gonna miss you big time. I love you.
He was a great brother, always there for me and my family. He will always be with me. I am so grateful he was in my life. I love you, Jamesy. Rest in peace.
There are places I remember.
I'll remember our trips together up the thruway to North Greenbush to the publishing operations outside of Albany. Our lunches in Westchester. And I'll never forget how he supported me during my father's 3-year battle with ALS. Our long conversations while I was unemployed and he was sitting by the pool, and most recently getting together with old friends for lunch in Westchester. Jim was a good friend, and I'm gonna miss him dearly.
You had a way of always calming me down, talking me off the ledge, and just becoming a dear friend. You will be forever missed. Thank you, Jim, for all the laughs.
Thank you for your love and your laughter and all great memories that we shared together. You will be forever in my heart and in my prayers. I love you. Rest in peace.
I will miss that positive nature and aspect on life. And I think if more people could be like Jim, the world would be a much merrier place and a happier place. And so I'll remember that.
I'm gonna miss him because I always used to see him outside on the street, and he always would give me presents for Christmas and my birthday, and he loved me a lot. Yes, he did.
His absence will be felt every day. We're just gonna miss him so much.
I will never forget his sense of humor and his ability to make a person feel welcome, because that's what he did to me.
That's going to be one of the things I remember the most about him, just how easily Jim could make anyone feel like a friend he had known for most of his life.
We have so many beautiful memories in our heart that we'll cherish forever.
And our family won't be the same, but we'll make sure your memory lives on. We'll continue to toast to you, and we'll continue to make sure that future generations have a chance to know about you.
The first thing that many people said to me when they heard that Jim had passed away was, "Oh no, he was such a nice guy, so funny, and always ready to help." If that's the first thing that anyone says about a person after they're gone, it is evidence of a life well lived. I'm happy and grateful I got to share that life with him, unhappy that it ended too soon. But the thing that Jim said was the best thing about his life was our son, David. And our daughter-in-law, Alyssa. "Honey, we did good," he'd say. On that, we always agreed. I was going to quote the famous W.H. Auden poem that was used in 4 Weddings and a Funeral. But the first line is, "Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone." And Jim never paid any attention to a clock in his life. And the telephone was his life's work. Also, it ends by saying nothing now can come to any good. That wasn't Jim. Jim thought everything would always come out better. Things could be fixed and problems could be solved. And he applied himself to doing that in big ways and small, with honesty and kindness. He was an eternal optimist, and his glass was always more than half full. So celebrate his life and memory the Irish way, with a raised glass, a funny story, and a toast to one of the good ones. I want to thank everyone who has reached out to me and my family, our friends, former co-workers, neighbors, and family in the greater New York, New Jersey metropolitan area, in the Lime Bay community in Florida, and out in the great state of Texas, and all those other states in between where we have family and friends. And from Canada to Mexico to Argentina to Europe and back again, Jim had friends everywhere. Thank you all for your kind words and memories, for your offers of help, food, encouragement, and support. Special thanks to my best work, David. You are the best of both of us. And to my daughter-in-law, Alyssa, who brought immeasurable joy, strength, and love to our family. I could not do this without them. Thank you all for your contributions and your memories.
Hello. My back is feeling low. I said to the doctor, what the hell is that? Hello.
You're gonna smile.
Me?
Everyone.
Well, I'm the only other one. Oh. Okay.
Ready?
Sure.
1, 2, 3. I've been taking a video this whole time.
She doesn't even